Jack, what are your first thoughts on playing with Consta? I don't know if you played with him during the preseason, but just what stood out about just, I mean, you guys were very good. What stood out about playing with him?
Yeah, just a great player. Thought we had a great night as a line, a lot of chances, and he was a big part of that.
And Peyton, how do you look at the way you guys were able to reset all season, and then you reset from Game 3 to Game 4, and then what's the mindset now? You're basically down to a best-of-3 series.
Yeah, no, we like our position. We got home ice advantage with the best-of-3 here. I thought the group did a good job of kind of getting back to our game. Last game really shutting down their rush chances, and it's a lot of fun. It's good hockey, and I'm excited for tonight.
Jack, you had to sit for 9 minutes and wait to see if you had scored a goal, if you hadn't scored a goal. First of all, did you know his glove had gone in the net in real time, or did you have really no idea? And second of all, what was that wait like there? First you think you have a goal, and then next thing you know, you don't have a goal.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was close to being in. I didn't know if it was in or not, but I told them to check it because it looked close, and obviously a long wait. And I don't know, it's out of your hands, so just got to wait and see what happens.
Jack, this is to kind of dovetail off the Consta-Helenius question. What does he bring to your line, and how does what he do offset what you and Jason Zucker are capable of on that line?
Well, he's a really smart player, very competitive, and very responsible. So I think he just makes players around him better, and compliments me and Zucks well.
This is for either of you guys. What's it like knowing that you've got a couple goalies here that could win any game and take over, and you can rely on them? Yeah, I think all year our goalies, all three of them, have been really good. And having Upi, Lino, guys like that are just so great in the locker room. No matter who's playing, they're cheering on each other, and that's huge. To have that tandem can go a long way, and we're going to need them both.
Jack, the power play units have worked pretty well the last couple of games. Lindy Ruff said on Benson's goal, you did a good job of boxing out, not allowing that defenseman to get to him. First of all, what has made the units work, do you think, maybe personnel-wise, and then strategy-wise, why has it worked recently?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think we've just found something that's clicked a little bit. We've won some face-offs, played in the zone a little more, and I think it's just you see teams for a full series, you kind of start to get an idea of what you want to do. So we've been able to execute a few times, which has been good.
Peyton, what has Luke Schen's impact been on the group? Him now being around a few months, and just he's the oldest guy on the team. He moves in and out of the lineup, but even beyond playing here and there, just what's been his impact, I guess?
Yeah, no, it's been huge. I think obviously an older guy comes in into a younger group. I'm sure he wasn't sure what to expect, and he's done a great job of just fitting right in. Giving us tidbits here and there to allow us to be successful, and just being a great guy off the ice when he wasn't playing. And I thought he did a great job coming in last game. Before the game, adds his piece and gets the guys motivated. He's done it for a long time and done it well. So having a guy like that back there, just steady Eddie, keeps the guys calm and allows us to play.
Peyton, speaking of calm, the third period, you guys look like yourselves. How much you had to kill 2:31, I think, of a penalty to start it. How much did that give you guys the confidence, like, okay, we're back? Because it seemed like from that point on, you didn't have the lead, but it was almost like you knew you were going to get the lead, and it just looked like your team again. Was it that kill that really on the bench lifted everybody?
Yeah, I think everybody knew that if we killed that off, we were going to have a good chance to win the hockey game. And, our killers did a great job all game. Obviously, there was a lot of penalties. And, I think once we were allowed ourselves to get 5-on-5 and get working, that allowed us to get to our game. When we're at our best, all of our lines are going, all of our pairs are going, and we can really get into that flow. So killing that off and then just staying disciplined the rest of the game allowed us to do that.
Hi, Lindy. What can you tell us about Connor Timmins' status for tonight?
Just maintenance for this morning.
So he's available.
He's available to play, yeah.
Secondly, give us some insight on the impact of Luke Schenn in that room, a guy who's won cups, who's been in this league for a long time. In a short time you've had him, how have you seen him kind of, develop a rapport with some of these guys and help them out?
Well, I think the thinking, you've got a veteran guy that has been there and knows what the war is like. And we felt, even penalty killing wise, he's a good penalty killer, that we've had to kill off quite a few penalties, and he could help us out in that area too. So two things went into it, and those were probably the two of the biggest.
Lindy, you had two defensemen who were over 7 minutes on the penalty kill, and they both played over 21 minutes in the game. Are those harder minutes when you have to play 7 minutes on the penalty kill? Is that harder on a player?
Typically, the answer for that would be yes, because you're spending more time in your end. A lot of times it's stop and starts and trying to get in lanes real quickly. Sometimes if you've got ozone time, 5-on-5, or if you have a little bit more possession, the shifts can be easier.
Over here to your left, Lindy. Yeah. I imagine urgency played a big part in you guys coming out the way you did last game, but at 2-2, this battle of the will is less obviously tilted. So what are the ways or the keys to manufacturing urgency for a group?
I like the urgency for our group, so I don't know if we have to manufacture anymore. We know that we're in Game 5. It's a critical game. I think both teams know how important it is, this game. This is the time of year where you have to be urgent. Doesn't matter whether you're in the first 10 minutes, the second 10 minutes, or last. I thought our urgency, our desperation, the last 10 minutes of the game was the same as was in the first 10.
Hey, Lindy, to go back about Luke Schenn for a moment, what's the importance of having a guy that with his veteranness to also play the part of being like a bouncer out there to try to maybe keep things calm, or if things need to get a little bit extra heated, he can do that too?
Yeah, I think we have options when it comes to, playing defense. And, with four lefties playing together, if we do dress two righties, then, you automatically got a lefty and a righty, and that works for us. You can alternate some of your top four in and out with our two righties that are playing. There's an element of physicality that he definitely brings. He's been there. There's nothing about this game that intimidates him or brings any fear, and I think that is a big reason he was able to win a couple cups too.
Lindy, you've got Ryan McLeod on the line with Jordan Greenway and Beck Mallenstein, two very physical players, face-off specialism between them. What was the decision behind putting together that combination, and what works with those three together?
I think when you look at that, our fourth line has been an important piece the whole year. All three of those guys are penalty killers. All three have good speed. I mean, McLeod and Mallenstein obviously have more than Greenway does, but there's an element of physicality they bring. There's a special teams element they bring, where McLeod's second unit has been great on entries and get inside the zone. He scored a power play goal for us. So it's kind of a special teams line that can bring different things for us.
Lindy, over here, just thinking back to how many years you've been doing this, and your comments about the officiating over the last couple of days, and some of the gamesmanship that may or may not be involved in that. But back in the day, I'm getting to the actual question. When you coach in a series with Ken Hitchcock, for example, there have been some memorable series where Hitch would also on that platform have some comments, you'd have some comments. And would you say that part of it has kind of tamed down over the years in terms of how more calm you are at this? For sure.
I think there's an element of, I know what our team needs. I know what I saw out there. Do I express it as loudly as I used to. I don't think so. Part of that, I think, is does it have an effect or does it not have an effect? Simple as that.
Lindy, I wonder, you look at these 10 games so far that you've been through in the postseason. Have you learned anything new about this team? Has anything surprised you about the way your group has handled sort of the ebbs and flows of the series, especially against Montreal, but also even looking back at Boston? Anything stand out to you that's sort of a surprise?
I don't think so, really. I think there are games where we haven't played well enough to win, that we've known as a group that we need to play a lot better. You can go to the first series. We started game one, I thought kind of nervous, jittery. Didn't really get into the game until the third period. We've really talked a lot about starts of games, and so go to game 3 and 4 in Boston, and game 6 in Boston. Go to these games in Montreal. Even the start, we scored early in both games. The ability to put bad periods and maybe as a whole a bad game, just put it behind you, reset. The group with not a lot of experience has been good at, and going into it, I didn't know how they would react to a big emotional loss in the playoffs. And can you bounce back that next game? Game 5 in the first series, can you bounce back when you were, you're kind of on the threshold of finishing off a series? It was a new experience, but pleasantly surprised at our reaction and how we played would probably be my answer.
In the playoffs, we all know that there are always guys that step up that aren't necessarily the quote stars. I mean, you have Benson, they have Newhook. What has Newhook done that maybe has hurt you guys so far in this series for him to be able to maybe score the goals that he has so far?
He's really taken advantage of our big mistakes. Give him a lot of credit. That early mistake we made. If you look at the game in the whole, how many opportunities he had, it's not like he's getting 5 or 6 opportunities. He's taking advantage of his opportunities. He's a great skater. The one thing I notice about him is his speed, and he gets to places in a hurry. And when we've made mistakes, he's taken advantage of them. You got to give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, Lindy, a win in game 1, a couple of more lopsided losses, games 2 and 3. I wonder if you can tell me what it was you think that sort of turned the tide in game 4. And a follow-up, do you think momentum in a series can travel from one game to the next?
Oh, great question. I think and I've said this, 2 real good teams playing against each other, 2 really evenly matched teams. Even if you looked at our numbers in the regular season and the wins and special teams and goals for, goals against, everything that you'd kind of dive into before a series, everything was tight. I feel that everything is still tight. Can you carry momentum over? I think that there are areas of the game that we need to improve, and that we spent time on that this morning. There was areas of the game we needed to improve from 3 to 4. We didn't play that great in game 3. I thought that first 8-10 minutes in Montreal in game 4 was as good as we can play. We'd like to carry that momentum back into our building. Let's worry about that first period and play a good first period, and then we'll move on to the next period.
Lindy, when you talked on the radio the other day, you gave an interesting answer about puck play and kind of what it means to you, and I'm interested, building off of that, if there's anything, I'm sure you'd obviously love to have it every night, and if there was a magic formula to get it every night, you would. But are there things that you've found that lead to that? Like, are you better when you skate the morning of a game, or is it better if they're off the morning of the game? Have you found any patterns in that regard?
I've been in this business forever, and I've never found the answer to the morning skate. It's one of the most feared questions, or if you think you can go in after the game and say, man, I knew because we had a good morning skate we would win. I thought we've had terrible morning skates and we've played well. I don't have an answer to that one. As far as like puck play for us, for me it's, are you racing for support? And a lot of times that creates openings in the game. Are you racing for support? Are you racing to get open? Are you hitting the holes that give that guy that opportunity to get a puck to you? It might be in space. It might be tape to tape. But if you're doing nothing, you're getting left behind.
Lindy, Ryan McLeod obviously has a strong base to his game, but just what does he maybe need to get back to be more of the Ryan McLeod from, this year and last year that we saw, I guess?
Just defending. His defending has to be better. I think he's lost a little bit of confidence in his defending right now. He has to defend a lot stronger than he's defended.
Lindy, question from left field. Jason Pominville is back in the building today. What comes to your mind when you think about the long runs with him on your team, and how cool is it to have him back here to hype the crowd tonight?
Yeah, well, I instantly think of the Ottawa goal where he drove in and won the series for us, and the whole city was welcome to Pominville. And the second thing, we sent him down, put him on waivers, and nobody claimed him. And we were able to bring him back, and he was, from that day on, was one hell of a player. And I remember, I can't tell you the scout's name right now, but our French scout told me one time, kind of in his broken English, this guy has hands of a surgeon. And he was right. Like, his shot was deadly. He is a complete two-way player, and those type of players make me a better coach for sure.